members of National Spiritual Assemblies assembled at the 8th Bahai International Convention. Dearly loved co-workers, in a short few months, a century and 30 years will have elapsed since the promised one of all ages was forcibly brought to this land as a prisoner in exile. The powerful adversaries arrayed against him intended this to be the final act towards the obliteration of his divine mission. But they had no perception of the triumphal promise divinely imparted to him when, according to his own testimony, banners of light welcomed his arrival in Akka. And the voice of the Spirit cried out, saying, "Soon will all that dwell on earth be enlisted under these banners." A significant new stage towards the ultimate fulfillment of that great expectation is evident in your having gathered here in this very land on this auspicious occasion as representatives of the burgeoning communities being raised up in his name throughout the length and breadth of the earth.
More than 1,000 delegates, members of the 175 national spiritual assemblies throughout the Baha'i world, gathered in the Holy Land for the 8th International Convention.
I'm glad to see the diversity and also the number of women that has come to convention and the number of young people. I think this is great, and to see the maturity of new national assemblies.
The whole human family is here for the first time. We have said that in the past, but truly Central Asia wasn't here before. And there were places on earth that really weren't participating before. They're here.
I came from the Baltic states. All 9 members of our National Assembly came here.
This is the first time I'm out of my country, and I'm very fortunate to come straight to Haifa.
I never met so many different people like this in my whole life. And today, seeing people, oh my God, I'm really overwhelmed with it.
In preparation for the convention, the participants visited the holy places associated with the central figures of the faith, spending hours in prayer and meditation at the sacred shrines.
It's difficult to describe with words the feelings that I had. Overwhelming, empowering might, I would say. I felt a lot of power, authority, I would say. Very, like the authority that the kings would have. The first book that I really read from the beginning till the end was The Dawnbreakers, which was translated in Russian. The whole story of the Bab always moved me to tears. And I haven't read this book for a long time, and when I came here, like the feeling of me becoming a Baha'i and the feeling of reading this book when I first became Baha'i just renewed again. In the shrine of Abdu'l-Baha, I felt some passionate spirit of the youth. I don't know, I felt some boiling spirit maybe. There was something passionate about the spirit there. And I, of course, envisioned Abdu'l-Baha himself and the spirit of service and immense humility that he had. And of course, the whole shrine is permeated with this humility of his personality.
It's wonderful. Such a wonderful feeling. I wish all the Baha'is were here today.
This year, these days in the heart of the festival of Rezvan were charged with a special potency.
For the first time ever, an international convention occurs during a Rizwan period which coincides with the commemoration of the twin holy birthdays of the Bab and Baha'u'llah. The birthdays, as you know, are reckoned according to the lunar calendar and fall on successive days. Today we are commemorating the birthday of the Bab, and tomorrow the birthday of Baha'u'llah will coincide with the celebration of the 9th day of Rizwan. A very, very special blessing for this last convention of the century.
أن يوم الأرض والسماء إنها الليلة الأولى قد جعل الله آية لليلة الأخرى التي فيها ولد فنتفت الأشياء الملك لله مولك الأسماء الذي يتى بسلطان فهوت العالمين ففيها انتهلل الملأ الأعلى ربهم العلي الوهاب وسبحت حقائق الأسماء مالك الآخرة والأولى
The convention was formally opened on the morning of the 9th day of Rezvan by Abdu'l-Baha Ruhiya Khanum.
This is a very wonderful occasion, and the Universal House of Justice, as well as the Hands of the Cause and the Baha'i community in Haifa, welcome you with open hearts. And I hope that from this gathering, which will have much to offer from the program of our beloved Universal House of Justice and the possibility of the delegates hearing talks and meeting with each other and consulting, that whatever else comes out of it, we begin to really enroll humanity under the banner of Baha'u'llah.
And now with refreshed souls, you will carry out your sacred responsibility, that of the election of the Supreme Body, the Universal House of Justice.
Alaska, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Armenia, Karo Avazyan, Ainagul Alyanova.
Unfortunately, from all 9 members, only I could come from Armenia to this convention. And it took me more than 2 weeks to get here. I passed through different countries, through different ways of transportation, until I got to Haifa.
Cuba, Jesus Coba.
This is a miracle of God. It was a miracle that I could even leave my country and come here and participate in this convention.
Absentee ballots were recorded for the entire membership of assemblies in countries where various restrictions prevent their attending the convention. This vase of 95 fresh roses was a gift of love from the long-suffering Baha'is in Iran, where the institutions of the faith are still banned by governmental decree.
Mongolia,
One of the most unique features about the Baha'i administration is the manner in which its assemblies and institutions are elected. And that is a spiritual process that defies duplication. That is to say, the responsibility exercised by an electorate spiritually is much more potent than the responsibilities exercised by electorate in the normal political sense. Because there's no campaigning, there's no sense of pressure. Everything depends upon a spiritual environment, in this case a spiritual place, and a spiritual responsibility on the part of those who are to cast their ballot. It's an entirely different flavor from those of us in the West who are used to a partisan political atmosphere, because there's no trace of partisanship. It is truly a liberating kind of experience.
For many delegates, making the trip to Israel was a tremendous challenge and required collaborative effort and sacrifice. Councillor Lolly Warren spearheaded one such effort in Zambia after learning that no one, save a single European pioneer, would be able to attend the convention.
And Mrs. Warren was sad, and she said, why? Why? Not even one indigenous person could afford to go or could be availed an assistance to go. And she started working on this from that moment. And in 11 days, this was a miracle. Assistance came for Edith Banda to be able to go to Haifa.
And on top of that, I'm the only lady on the National Spiritual Assembly. And I'm the youngest.
And the first time in her life, she was boarding a plane to go to the Holy Land.
Zambia, Edith Banda.
I nearly fainted to say, how has the Lord made it happen? And then the one who called me said, it's Baha'u'llah's bounty that has reached you, which is true.
We hail with uplifted hearts what you have done here. For through your participation in a uniquely conceived electoral process, you have fortified the crown of that world-embracing administrative structure of which your assemblies are the indispensable pillars. But what has impressed us even more deeply is that the manner of your conduct has reflected a degree of love and unity rare for so variegated a gathering of humanity as you represent.
Hagurukuja kwigisha Baha'u'llah azaguhemba azaguheka imigisha azakwambika ikamba mu bwami bwa Nyagasani hagurukuje kwigisha mu Bahayi
Rizwan 155. To the Baha'is of the world, dearly loved friends, at this halfway mark in the 4-year plan, we affirm with uplifted hearts that the worldwide Baha'i community is breaking new ground at a dynamic stage in its evolution. The process of entry by troops, upon which its energies are focused, is clearly advancing.
I think the wristband message was very, very deep and powerful.
The House of Justice is addressing the individual believers, all of us, and pointing out to us, reminding us of what are our God-given responsibility and privilege to teach the cause of Baha'u'llah to all of humanity.
It is my great privilege to present to you the report on the election of this 8th International Baha'i Convention. Out of a possible 1,575 ballots, 1,543 were cast. Ali Nakjavani, Peter Khan, Adib Taherazadeh, Glenford Mitchell, Ian Semple, Hooper Dunbar, Farzam Arbab, Douglas Martin, Ushman Fatehzam,
Beloved friends, your warm applause touches our hearts. We are overwhelmed by a feeling of inadequacy, and I know that I'm speaking now not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of my colleagues. A feeling of inadequacy because of our personal shortcomings, our personal deficiencies, as we face the challenges ahead. Yet, we are confident that if we arise and if we place our trust in the Lord, an all-seeing, a prayer-hearing, a prayer-answering Lord, He will certainly come to our aid, as He has come in the past. And He will use us unworthy instruments as we are, in order to fulfill his purpose.
This is infallible Bible, and the wisdom and Universal House of Justice has all resources, all guidance, everything from the writings and everything. And just without Universal House of Justice, there is no world, and there is no future of the world.
The consultative sessions of the convention provided the assembled delegates with a unique opportunity to consider together the vital issues facing the cause.
So when the letter from the House of Justice came, talking about institutes, suddenly we had to start discussing what actually is an institute. Is it just a kind of extended kind of deepening, the sort of thing we've already been having, but just simply more of it? Or is it something else?
We understood one very important thing about training institutes. And this thing is that training institutes is not just some type of activity that received much attention lately or some line of action that is emphasized strongly. But this is the way of life, the way of Baha'i life this years. This is the center of community life where spiritual energies of individuals of the whole community are released and diffused, and people become spiritually transformed in these places.
And through the Ruhi Institute, we train the friends to go beyond the physical meaning of the word and connect their souls with the power of the word of God.
We had level 1 book, and we completed, around 3,000 believers completed it, which means 3,000 are now capable of coordinating another classes of this institute.
We have observed that in areas where institutes are producing a lot of good teachers, and the assemblies or Baha'i councils have ready plans for them when they go back to the areas, then we have amazing results.
There's not a single soul on Rarotonga that doesn't know about something about the Baha'i faith, and everybody thinks that we have a very large Baha'i community.
These words, institute, Ruhi Institute, and teaching institute, everything is same. This is really, it seemed for me, we are in very right path. And I am very thankful to you and to Baha'u'llah for this.
What I think is that each country is going to find its own particular method of institute, but I think there are some things we all have in common. And I think that is that we should study very, very carefully the messages from the House of Justice, that we should analyze the situation in our countries very carefully and be willing to adapt.
인테리어를 харин одоо энэ Бахайн одоо сургаалуудыг бол ярьж танилцуулж өгөхөд хүн амархан хүлээж авдаг. Аливаа оны сонирхолтой зүйлдээ сэтгэл өгсөн улс бол маш одоо өөрт нь үнэн үг хэлээд өгчтэй зэрэг үнэн зүйл тайлбарлахаар хүлээж авах нь их сайн байх юм аа.
The arts touch the hearts of people, and when people experience some shows of art, their hearts are moved, and when their hearts are moved, we should tell to them the words of truth of God.
If we want to succeed, bring the masses for the whole world, which will be the mass conversion, let us pour our love to our children.
I feel our children can teach their peers, they can teach their teachers, they can teach all around them. But I think maybe all together they can even teach the governments of the world.
And if we talk about entry by troops, what do you think about creating special projects to enroll women, which are the educators of humanity?
Entry by troops also mean people of thoughts, leaders of thoughts.
So the National Spiritual Assembly began two processes. One, preparing the community for the entry by hopefully millions of believers, and the other to prepare a video for mass communication. We created the video, we put it through a focus group, not one, but 22 times, and we would change the video to be more informative of what the Baha'i Faith is and who Baha'u'llah is. We have had 6,000 people call to attend meetings, to receive literature. We have had 3,000 hits on our webpage, and I'm happy to say that 3,000 people are attending firesides as a direct result of this video.
For all the friends from Algeria who cannot be here, who cannot vote, who cannot express their faith, I would like in their name to thank with all my heart, because it's 32 years that I'm waiting to do so, to thank all the pioneers that have come to Algeria and have taught the faith with so much courage, so much devotion, and so much sacrifice.
One thing I have learned from this conference, this gathering together, is that there is a great potential in Africa amongst the believers. We have capacity, we have people who can really do the work. But I don't think that there is a sufficient interaction between the different African communities, countries. We look up to the outside, we look to Europe, we look to America, but we don't look within ourselves, within the Africans, to see the different communities, how we can source people who can help us. We don't think about visiting other African countries to travel teach, irrespective of the language. You see, language is not really a problem. When I think that when I became a Baha'i, the Persian believers used to come to Africa, most of them never spoke any of the languages, neither English, nor French, nor Spanish, but yet they help the faith to grow. So why can't we do it? Why do we sit back and wait? So I think that one thing that needs to be encouraged very strongly is the interaction and the movement of the African believers. We have 2 years before the end of the 4-year plan, and there's no time to waste. We have to be more dynamic, more audacious, and ready to move at any time.
China, China, China ward. The cause of Baha'u'llah must march. Where is that most sanctified Baha'i to become the teacher of China?
It is not only a mission, it's not only responsibility, it's the blood of each Baha'i, it's the nature of being Baha'i.
Outside the sessions, informative displays help the delegates to understand the breadth and scope of the worldwide development of the faith, complemented by a video surveying recent developments in the 8 regions addressed by the Universal House of Justice at the outset of the 4-year plan.
The systematization of our work provides the channels needed for the operation of these forces. It creates in the cause a culture of growth.
Comes from an illustrious Baha'i family.
Topical and regional meetings, large and small, were scattered throughout the convention period. As the convention drew to a close, the Universal House of Justice delivered a final message.
This is the time when you will want to pursue more urgently and effectively your God-given duties. For apparent in you are the signs of a new confidence, a recharged energy, and a reconsecrated spirit.
It was the 12th day of Rezvai, and the friends repaired once again to Bachi.
Awake, for lo, the morning light hath broken. Arise, for his cause is made manifest. The portals of his grace are open wide. Enter therein, O peoples of the world, for he who is your promised one has come.
This is the 7th convention that I am attending. And every time that I come, I see a great progress, a great difference. This one was honestly, unexpectedly wonderful.
There are so many local believers, which amaze me because this is my 3rd time. I know what a big difference it makes this time.
That's true. This time we have 5 members are Chinese, and it's very happy.
The embracements of the love of beloved hymns of the gods, very warmly love of hymns of the gods, made us happiness and strength. And also the welcoming of beloved universal house of justice made us to devoted service to the gods.
This convention was full of rich and uplifting experiences. Yet for many, some of the most memorable moments came from another encounter.
In Accra, there, looking through the window of the prison cell of Baha'u'llah, where he was imprisoned for 2.5 years, looking at this mountain, there was absolutely nothing. Nothing. But today, the mountain is just blooming.
It's changed so much, really. I think the terraces is so exciting. We don't realize how big and how fantastic it is, you know, and to feel that you're part of it, you contributed something. It's really great.
I noticed you notice the detail, you notice the beauty, the symmetry, and to me it was obviously that this is not human, this is divine, you know, this is perfection. Every terrace is different. And the gardens, it's just out of this world. I don't think you can describe.
Convention guests were the first Baha'is to descend the terraces from the top of the mountain.
We are here on the level of terrace 19. All the terraces, as you know, there are 18 terraces, and the symbolic is 18 letters of living.
The future significance of the terraces is evident from their characterization by Shoghi Effendi as the pathway of the kings and rulers of the world.
And we see CST, Center of the Study of the Text, that round building. And under that mountain, in front of the old archives building, the archives extension is buried. The Center of the Study of the Text is, as you see here, is a building about 16,000 square meter, 1.5 times larger than the building of the Universal House of Justice. From there we go down, we walk over the bridge. You can take any picture you want. The bridge is 50 meters wide.
Coming down the steps of the terraces, from the 19th terrace down to the bridge that crosses over the street, it was really something, because I always felt that this distance between the administrative center and the spiritual center here, the Shrine of the Bab and the Ark, I could never imagine how these two things will get together. And suddenly we were walking on this bridge, and it was a dream.
The Bible says that if one has faith of the size of a mustard seed, one will say to the mountain, move, and the mountain will move. And I think that we have seen this here. The mountain has moved. It is facing the shrine of Baha'u'llah. And when we see all these friends from previous countries where the faith was not established, it's really something very special.
Considering all that has transpired during these eventful days, can this experience not be regarded as the defining moment for the 4-year plan? Beloved friends, yours is the enviable privilege at this time of contributing to a systematic mobilization that can raise up the human resources capable of bringing about the enlistment of an ever-swelling company of new recruits under the banner of the Most Great Name. The plan is set, the path clear. Onward then, with confidence, with vigor, with speed. Signed, the Universal House of